Hi, I'm Sam Brooks. You're watching Pop Culture with Pat. I play Arnie on Fear Street. And remember, kids, don't you dare do drugs, baby, drugs. Take it easy.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So, once again, we are headed back to 1978, this time with Arnie himself, Sam Brooks. Really excited to have you on the show today, Sam. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to do this.
Pat, thank you, man. Excited to be here. Thanks for finding me and hitting me up. It's my first official big interview. So let's
Awesome.
see what happens. Hopefully, I don't say the wrong things.
I think you'll be all good. I'm excited to talk to you, all things, Fear Street, especially where, like you said, your first big film. So kind of to start things off right from the beginning, so Fear Street Part 2, 1978, you got to play the role of Arnie. So what was the audition process like for that character? And did you audition for any other characters in the film? Because I know that happens like quite a bit.
Right. So I put my audition on my Instagram and for Arnie, and I actually auditioned for Arnie twice. The first time around, and I could be wrong here, but I think it was a different writer or someone else had it in their hands besides Lee.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: I auditioned for like seven different times. I auditioned for Fear Street. I thought it was a show,
Wow.
and I auditioned for Kurt. I auditioned for Tommy. I auditioned for Simon. I auditioned for Arnie twice, and then I auditioned for two more roles in the 1666 film, but I can't remember the names of those roles. I haven't seen the third one yet. It's on my weekend to-do list. I'm super stoked. But once I auditioned, so Arnie was the last one out of those six, and then Arnie was the sixth one. And then I didn't hear from him 3 or 4 months. And at the time I booked DC Universe Stargirl, so I'm doing that show. And then I had a break from that show. And I swear, I popped into my mind, I was like, whatever happened to Fear Street? And I went on IMDb. I saw that they're still in pre-production. And I was like, man, it'd be so good to hear back from them or just know who booked the role Arnie, because I really wanted Arnie, because I was like, this guy, I like this guy. And 2 days later, I got an audition for Arnie for Fear Street. And I was like, this is crazy. I was like, oh man, universe, thank you.
Yeah.
So, and he's like this punk, they had him like a punk rock kind of guy. And this guy who I knew well is super big into the punk scene in Nashville, and that's where I was at the time. And so I was like, hey man, I need some clothes. I need a jean jacket. I need like all this stuff. And he's like, I got you. So he gave me that. I went and auditioned for it. 3 weeks go by. I'm talking to the guy who read for me and a good friend of mine, Rolando. And he was like, hey, did you hear back from Fear Street? I was like, oh, man, I don't think I got it. I usually give it 2 weeks. If you don't hear anything, just move on. And the next day, I kid you not, the next day my agent calls and it's like, hey, you're pinned for Arnie for Fear Street. And I just remember just like dropping to my knees and thanking God. And it was really a cool experience. And it was about a week that I was pinned, which is an interesting situation because you don't quite have the role. And you're in this limbo of what does this mean? But just please let me book this thing. And then once I booked it, went back to Atlanta, which is great because I still had an episode, 2 episodes to do on Stargirl, one of which I couldn't do because I was filming Fear Street, which is first world problems, I guess. It was awesome. It was really, really amazing. Fear Street was, and I think will be, the absolute favorite experience for me as far as career goes, because I think for me personally, that was what allowed me to just kind of get the whole taste of everything, just being on both of those at the same time. And Arnie being a more prominent character than I did have in Stargirl season 1, just really immersing. And it was just like, hey, here you go. This is what it's like to be an actor. And everybody on the crew, everybody on the cast was phenomenal and just the nicest people. There's like, I had some stigmas. I'm like, well, what if people are assholes? Or like, what if they don't take me seriously because I haven't done anything? But everyone was so cool and so nice and so supportive. And it was really, really quite amazing. And I think it's always going to be like that one experience that I'll always remember the further I go in my career. Is like, that's what started it, was Fear Street. you know.
Yeah, man, you've been, and I know when I like even just like reached out to you like initially, on Instagram and stuff like that, like where you I can't remember the exact number for like followers, but like all you guys have just like really blown up over the past
Been
couple weeks.
nuts, man. It's been I started so Thursday the 8th of July was the premiere for 1978.
Yep.
And that day I had 4,200 followers. Now I'm like over 16,000 now. My mind's rattled. I'm just like, how can I milk this as much as possible? I'm like, what Fear Street BTS do I have? Anything. Everybody send me stuff, please. And it's the cool and the most supportive fans, dude. Like from all over the world. And
Yeah,
it's the coolest thing ever.
I can imagine and probably just seeing like because I've seen it for like other characters too, just like that people creating different like edits for
Yeah.
characters and like sending videos and stuff like that. So
And the characters are so iconic in their own ways, which I really enjoyed. Like everyone just crushed it.
yeah,
Everyone crushed it. And I haven't seen the third one yet, but I feel in my heart, I feel like that's gonna be my favorite one. You know,
yeah,
I'm biased for the second one because I'm in it, but I think the 1666 one's gonna just be knockout.
yeah. I won't spoil it for you because like I actually got to see it like 2 days ahead of time because I got like an
Yeah.
advanced screener for it and they do a good job. Like I won't spoil it. They do a good job of wrapping everything up. You got to go back to like the 1600s, and then you go back to 1994. But they do a good job as far as like tying everything together, and then also kind of leave the door open for more. But I'll say that.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, yeah. I think Arnie might rise from the dead. I think, and then do a crossover with The Walking Dead. No, I'm just kidding. But I really when I saw the trailer for 1666, I thought to myself, it's just genius. Like taking all the characters who are still alive, and the main characters from the other two movies,
mhm.
dropping them in to this last film and bringing them like the parallels between how they act in 1666 might, from what I've seen online, like
Yeah,
same kind of faces, looks, like all that, like the same things from the other two films.
and I like the way it played out
Um,
too. Watching it in reverse, order. So seeing like 1994 and then like going
mhm.
back in time and telling the story like that way, because usually it goes like the opposite way. And just the whole concept too of Fear Street, you guys releasing these three films like 3 weeks in a row, just something that really hasn't been done before up to this point. So I just like that whole concept was really cool, and I think it helped benefit because you guys, because it was just people were talking about these films for 3-4 weeks. I mean, they're still talking about them. So just like carrying that buzz over into like the next movie, and you don't have to wait several years or something like
Right.
that.
I think it was fantastic marketing. Really, and Netflix killed it with their marketing and what they did and how far they went with it. And I think, I mean, I was watching the NBA Finals and I saw a commercial for it. I was like, what? And it was in New York Times. I mean, yeah, it was in New York Times. It was in Times Square. It's billboards everywhere. It's really really cool to see, and mind blowing the fact that I was in it. I was just very very grateful for that. But yeah, I think what is really really, they shot those movies back to back to back,
Yeah, which is insane. Like
which
all,
is
like three movies in a row.
yeah, like just knocked them out, and it was just baffling because when I was shooting, I was like, so they're like, yeah, we've already shot the other two. Shot the first in 1666, and then the last one was 1970. I was like, you guys you've shot two movies, like, and how many months? I think it took them like, I don't quote me on this, but anywhere from like 6 to 9 months
Yeah,
to shoot three films, and it's mind blowing. You
yeah.
do
No,
like one season of TV, it's like 6 to 9 months.
I can't even imagine. I've only done like I've been an extra on one film, so I only got like a very small sense of what it is to like work on like a movie. But I
Mhm.
mean, even just that, it's like I was there for one full day. It was like a 12-hour day or whatever, and it's like that was just filming one scene. So I can't imagine doing
Yep.
three movies back to back to back, especially the director and everything doing all three movies. Like some of the characters shifted like a little bit, but some of them were in like the other films as well. So now, Sam, were you familiar at all with like the Fear Street books going into this, or was this kind of like a whole new world for you?
This was yeah, this was an Aladdin for me, man. It was a whole new world. It was a new fantastic point of view. I've never read the Fear Street books. I think he has what, like 15 or so in that span of books. R.L. Stein.
Yep.
I did read a good amount of Goosebumps growing up, but Fear Street was I honestly didn't know Fear Street. He had like an older, for like the older kids. I didn't know he had that line of books. So
Yeah.
this was new to me. This was very new to me. And when I when I went into it, I didn't read the script, like the full script. I just read Arnie's parts
Yep.
because I was like, this character wouldn't know what else is going on in the world. I just want to know what Arnie knows, and we'll go into it like that. And then once I wrapped, I read the full script, and I really enjoyed it, and the way it turned out was phenomenal.
I think that's a good way to go into it with that character. I could kind of like see that like point of view, so that makes sense. Now, where did I mean you kind of got into it like a little bit, but like as far as like where did you draw inspiration from when you were bringing Artie to life for this character? Whether it was like any movies, music, clothing, things like that.
You know, he was really close to home for me as a human. As far as just in my audition, I made him more of an asshole. But in this one, when I was reading him more and more, I just kind of want to make him lovable.
Yeah.
You know, he's just this fun-loving guy who wants to have some sex and do some drugs and have a good time at summer camp. You know, and his whole evolution in this film is finding out what that pill is. And like, right when he finds out it's acetaminophen, he dies. So it's just like that was my world. So I was like, all right, what is this character? Does he have evolution? Does he have what is he going for? And so he has this one moment where he's getting mind boggled by this L4-84 pill, and I'm like, that's the world I gotta live in. I'm like, the whole time, no matter what, I gotta be figuring out what this, running through the Rolodex of pills in Arnie's brain, the whole movie, just looking at this pill and in my own little world, and then finally it hits me, and I die. That's it.
That's it. Now, most of your character ends up getting a pretty brutal death scene at the hands of Tom.
Incredible.
And I actually saw, like, I think today I did see that you had like posted like video of getting like the makeup and stuff like that. What was your reaction when you first read that in the script? And can you just like walk us through filming like your death scene?
Yeah, when I was reading the first scene for Arnie, I was like, this guy's gonna die first. It's like the character is gonna die first. He's like the stoner dude at camp. He's like, oh, that guy, we love him. We don't want to see him die, but he's gonna die.
Yeah.
And then when I read that I'm getting an axe to the face, I was like, this is gonna be really, really cool. And I'm excited to see how they're gonna do this, because I've never been a part of like something like this intense and this big of a production. So Christopher Allen Nelson, let me double check to see if I'm getting that name right. I believe so.
Yeah, Christopher Nelson. Yep.
Christopher Allen Nelson. Yeah, he's done. Oh, he's a legend. Did a lot of stuff in Kill Bill, Marvel, all sorts of stuff. So he did the whole splitting of the head, and then there was a tube going in it. So, and then there's like a little hole up here, and then that was hooked up to a generator where the blood would like spray out. So, and then we had Alan, who was our stunt coordinator. And so they hired a stunt guy for it, but I was like, Lee, please, can I do this myself? And they're like, all right, sure. So I was like, please, I want to do my own stunts, like, please. And so she's like, I'll give you 2 takes. And so McCabe, we had a foam axe painted that looked like the real thing. And so when he hits me, we're doing the scene, and I gotta just like right when it lodges, kind of go deadpan, and then I fall like dead weight into that dirt mound,
yep.
Which was all actually happening. So we did that a few times, and then that's when I went and got the headpiece with the tube, and then they were gonna morph my face. They were gonna wrap it, and then have it kind of like a CGI model of my face for this specific part. But then again, I was like, I can do this. And the blood, they warned me it was gonna sting really bad, and it did if it got in my eyes. But Lee again was like, you got 2 takes, and then we'll fly out to LA and we'll do that thing. I was like, I got it. And so the first take, Nailed it. I had it, it was like they were zooming, panning in on the camera, and like right when they got up close to me before they yelled cut, it got in my eye. My eye just started twitching real bad, and I just couldn't help it. I just started cracking up laughing. And so they yelled cut, and everyone was confused as well. I was laughing. I was like, "Did you guys not feel that eye twitch?" I guess they didn't see it, but I felt it. But we ran the second take, did it fine. Blood was coming down. I just, had the dead face going on. And then after that, when he was coming in on the 3 hammer downs, so he would start with the axe in my cut, and then he would pull out, and then he would go in and like slow it down, and then he would like latch it there. So then I would just like kind of bob my head, like he was like pulling it out of my head, and then just let it kind of do its thing. It was actually very, very, very fun.
Oh yeah,
it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun that day.
I can imagine. I mean, yeah, and that was the thing with 78. 78 is probably like my favorite, like out of the the 3 films. Like I really enjoyed like all of them, but 78, I was just like I was surprised, and I knew going into it, it was rated R. Which I was like cool, because I grew up on Goosebumps and stuff like too. So it's like as an adult, you get to see these things, but they're now they're made for the audience that grew up on them. So I was like, it's rated R, but I was still kind of surprised at some of the kills and stuff and how brutal like they were. Like you taking the axe to the head, like 3-4 times, whatever, and then your head just like completely.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. The head split open. And one of my friends was like, "Did that weird you out? Kind of seeing you dead and just picturing yourself like that's what I would look like if I was dead." And I was like, "Dude, I never thought about that once, but now I'm thinking about it." So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for putting that in my head. But
yeah, right, exactly. Thanks for making me go a little ethereal than I wanted to. It was an honor, man. I think it was an honor to be the first kill and it to be that brutal. I feel like it really set the tone for the movie. It's like, oh, it's on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like, okay, we're about to see some shit here right now. So that was on. And most of your screen time was was shared with like Emily Ryan and McCabe. What was it like working with those guys? And do you have any fun like behind the scenes stories with them or anyone else from the cast?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed working with them. They were amazing. I didn't know any of them going into it. I'm fairly new to the acting scene. I got into this professionally June of 2016, so it hasn't been terribly long.
Yeah,
which I'm fortunate to have booked this, but like they really made it easy, if that makes sense. Like being in their company, it was just comfortable, but it was also okay. Let's do this. Let's dance. Let's have a good time because they like set the bar. They set this tone, very professional, but it was also very comfortable and inviting, to where it was really easy to go in there and play, and do our thing. And when I got to Atlanta, Ryan and I met up. We had some pad thai. We went and got some Thai food and hung out. And we were watching Big Little Lies. We were both like into that show, so we watched that and got close and met each other. And we met Emily and McCabe, in which they're all staying in the same hotel. And as far as we did a lot of puzzles together. We like when we were like just hanging out in the trailers, just do a lot of puzzles. No crazy stories at all, but
it seemed like you guys had a lot of fun though. I mean, just like seeing like the chemistry, especially with like you and Ryan, like you guys just seemed like you were having, as like a as fan, as like an audience member, it seemed like you guys were having a lot of fun. So that's what I kind of picture, like working on the set, that it was just a really fun, energetic set, like overall with those guys.
Oh yeah, a lot of laughs were shared. We did, yeah, it was Ryan and I went to Walmart one day because we were in like this kind of just an area where we were filming at the summer camp. There wasn't much going on in the town. There was a Walmart across from our hotel, so we went around and like goofed around with all the toys. And there's really like not much crazy stories behind the scenes, but we did some puzzles. We hung out a good bit and ate some great food, had some good laughs. It was more about just the acting was really easy with them. It was very smooth. It was like hanging out. Like you'd forget. I forgot I was acting. It was just like hanging out. Like we were these characters just hanging out.
Yeah. That's how, I mean, that's always got to feel good too, especially, coming into where, You said 78 was filmed last, coming into a set where some of these people, they've already been working together for like a while, or just some of these actors and actresses been doing acting for a while. Someone who's kind of new coming in, sometimes I feel like that can be hard, especially if you don't have like the right people to work with. So that's awesome that they were, welcoming you with with open arms.
Yeah, I think the best thing for me, and the thing I took away, which I really really enjoyed from this set specifically, is like the crew and the cast. Nobody had an ego, which is really amazing. Like, it seemed like everyone put their ego up at the door before they stepped on set, and everyone was like just super inviting and be like, "Hey, let's have a good day.
Yeah.
Let's have a good day filming today." And
And
that
that
was it.
always makes it, easier too. And, with Fear Street Part 2, with it taking place in the 70s, what was it like to visit another decade? And what's your favorite part about the 70s overall?
The '70s as a whole, or like the film.
I guess like visiting the 70s, like in the film. You
Oh
can
man,
say 70s overall too.
the set designers, goodness gracious, they killed it. Like it was you. I thought I was in the '70s. Like the cabin, like the first scene that Arnie and Alice appear in that cabin, you would forget that you're in the like you would forget that you're in this time. I thought I was in the '70s, and that whole summer camp was really really cool. It's like an abandoned summer camp, had that vintage feel to it. I think that my favorite part would have been if I knew the soundtrack that they were going to play. It would have been this. It's the soundtrack. The soundtrack was amazing.
Oh yeah, I couldn't believe I was talking to Jackie like about it, because she had mentioned like the soundtrack too, and it was just like crazy. It seemed like it was just like one big song like after like another. Like I remember one of the ones that sticks out to me, because I love that song, is like "Carry On My Wayward Son."
Kansas, man, you gotta love Kansas.
Classic song. So I was like, when that came on, I was like, what? But I mean, there was, a bunch of like other like hits on there too. So I mean, yeah, whether if it was Lee, or whoever else was in charge of like the music,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic job as far as like picking out the song choices.
Yeah, Lee actually had a playlist for us, like the 19. She had a playlist for each movie, which
Yep.
was really cool to kind of get you in that vibe. And I remember listening to it on the way to set, and there was a lot of those songs on there.
Oh, okay. So that,
And at first, she thought, for the sex scene, it would have been Barracuda. So she's like, when we were doing it, I was thinking like Barracuda. Like, what would that tempo be like? Or like, like what would it be? But then she changed it to Cherry Bomb, which I think was even better.
oh yeah, no, Cherry Bomb, I think fit that scene, well. So
Yeah.
fantastic choices as far as like the songs go, and that's cool. That it makes sense to give you guys kind of like the music to like listen to get you into like the mood and stuff like that as far as like the film goes.
I also think the wardrobes were fantastic, like
Yeah.
super well done. And I think my favorite accessory was the hat, because that wasn't even a part of the movie. It was just on the wall. The set designer just like it was just on the wall, and I think it was either the sound guy, or I was someone on set. He was like, "Hey, you should put that hat on. I think it'd be kind of cool." And I was like,
It's like,
okay. And so I just one scene did it, and Lee's like, "We're gonna keep that." Awesome,
that's
sweet. We're keeping the hat.
funny how that, how those things kind of just like work out like sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, one of the biggest things about Fear Street, the trilogy, is they do a great job of paying tribute to like slasher horror films from the different like decades. Would you consider yourself a big horror fan? I guess like going into when you were filming this movie, and if you are, like, what are some of your favorite films?
Mm. I used to watch a lot of horror growing up. I haven't in a long time. Kind of, I guess, transitioned out of the horror phase. But Pet Cemetery is one of my favorites.
Oh,
The original.
yeah.
Uh, The Strangers, actually, which when I saw McCabe's like with the masks,
Oh,
like the guy at the end with the mask and the McCabe's thing, I kind of got a Strangers vibe. The Strangers vibe. That movie was psychologically kind of messed me up because I was like a little kid. We snuck into the theaters to watch that. I think I was in middle school, or maybe yeah, I was like late middle school, probably 7th or 8th grade. Then I went home after seeing that movie, and I was like by myself in my house. I was like, oh man, this isn't good. The Strangers, I would say, honestly, really liked Paranormal Activity.
yeah. First one.
The first one was because it like did such great numbers, and it was very revolutionary as a horror film. Another classic would be Psycho, is a classic. Birds kind of messed with me when I was really little. I saw that. I saw It. These are the ones that kind of really got to me. So
Yeah.
the original It, I saw because it was on when we were at the beach. I was so little. I was little, and there was HBO at the beach, like on this channel. My parents don't like let us watch that because we're too little. But
Yeah.
it was on. Someone left it on, and I just got invested. And also, it was like the shower scene where she
Oh,
split her wrist and wrote It. And I for a whole year I had to do this in the shower so I could just stare at the drain and no like water or soap would get my eyes. So that movie really messed me up for a long time.
that's
And I
great.
would think recently one I saw was Hereditary, A24. I love A24.
Oh yeah.
But Hereditary was phenomenal to me personally. I loved Hereditary.
Yeah.
Midsommar was good, but it wasn't scary for me personally. I just thought it was really interesting film and beautifully done. But Hereditary, I was in the theater and I couldn't like blink. I was just like, it was an amazing film.
Man, you got some classics on there for sure. I know, like for me, Pet Cemetery, like the original one,
Mhm.
that movie still creeps me out like to this day. Like just I don't know, just like I don't know what it is like about the movie. I think it has something with like dead animals, like them like coming back to life, like that just like kind of gets to me for some reason.
Yeah.
But but I mean, yeah, some of those other movies. I remember seeing it when I was like little too. That was kind of like the movie that it was like, oh, have you seen it? This is like the scariest movie
Mhm.
of all time. You know, at that time I hadn't seen, you know, Exorcist or anything like that. But that was definitely up there too. You know, Tim Curry like playing like, you know,
Mhm.
Pennywise. So
Yeah. Well, the
definitely,
original Exorcist, that's a good one too. That's
yeah.
a classic. That's a classic.
But
I
no,
remember my dad rented that for us on my 11th birthday. It's like my 11th birthday party, and he was like, "Let's go to Blockbuster." Back when Hollywood Video and Blockbuster was still a thing,
yep.
and we got us. He's like, "You guys ever seen The Exorcist?" And nah, well, let's watch it. You know what? Let's add The Ring. Let's throw The Ring on the mix.
Oh yeah, no, the Ring. I remember. I do remember seeing that in theaters at the time. It, a lot of people I know it like scared the shit out of. I remember not being like it was like a good movie. I remember not being as scared, but I do remember specifically sitting in the theater and at one point I just like kind of like, you know, turned around and like looked at like some of the other people like I was with, you know, some of my friends, and I looked around and I just remember seeing like everyone kind of sitting like in their seats like this, you know, watching like the screen. And I was like, oh, like it's good. It didn't scare me as much as I guess some other people.
Oh, The Ring got me, man. The Ring got me. I had a reoccurring dream for like a week and a half after I saw that. And
Yeah,
I blamed it on tomatoes because it was like after the first time I tried a tomato. So, it was years later until I ate another tomato.
hilarious. No, you know, I loved, and you kind of mentioned this too. I loved like the camp setting for the film, but the Seraphir, that cabin was really cool too. Which was your favorite set to work on, like, or set piece to like work on, like overall?
I think that because it was in a warehouse, like you walk into this warehouse and they had built that entire thing. Like with, I mean, even in the woods, they built like the front of that cabin and everything. Like they did that. And when we walked in, so walking down those stairs, and when you're in that where I got killed and walking through the tunnels and all the mazes and the witch's mark, all that was built. And to me, that blew my mind because I've never seen like built sets like that. And
Yeah,
you walk in this warehouse, and you know, in one room they're breaking down the 1666 sets, which I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. And then they're like, oh, we're over here. Here's this whole other thing we built. We built an entire maze, basically. It was awesome, man. It was really, really cool.
yeah. I say it looked. Now, was it as because I mean, some scenes where you guys were in like the cavern and you were kind of like walking down. Was it as like claustrophobic looking as like some of the hallways and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. It was the first initial part where the candle was lit. And she was like, "It's someone's been here recently." That was pretty spacious.
Yeah,
That had some space.
yeah,
The little tunnel parts, you have to really get in there and
Roll down.
crawl. Yeah.
That's no, I'll say watching it, I was like, yeah, that looks like it's pretty tight, and it'd just be like interesting, like how you guys were like able to get like the cameras. Like obviously, I know they got all their ways to do that, but it's like, how do you like fit someone in there and getting like the camera like all set up and everything? So
Yeah, you got the camera ops like maneuvering backwards, and you got the one guy like spotting them. I always think that's so impressive.
yeah. So okay, so yeah, no, I was kind of the overall. I love the camp setting because I mean, it going back to like the horror movies, it reminded me totally of like Friday the 13th. Just like
Yeah.
that franchise, like the Burning, Sleepaway Camp, things like that. So
Mhm.
and plus, I mean, most people like when you're a kid, at some point you go to like a summer camp. So I think a lot of people can just kind of relate to that too. So I really like the summer camp setting. Now it's easy, especially with seeing like all the tributes like throughout like the multiple films. I know you were just in 78, but it's easy to see like Lee, she's a big fan of like the horror genre with all her tributes. What was it
Mhm.
like just working with her as a director overall? And did she guys have you watch like any horror films or anything like that to prepare for the film?
She had the first time when I went, they were took over this school where everyone was at, and yeah, it was amazing. They just like took over the school, all their offices were in there and whatnot, and Lee was in the principal's office, so I thought it was hilarious.
That's great.
And she sat me down on this couch, wanted to meet me. We popped a LaCroix, and she like laid down this book, and it was like this thick, and it was just every pictures, all these things, how she like the clothing. I mean, it was the best a story Bible or a lookbook. You want to whatever you want to call it, but it was thick and it was to the nth degree on the details. It was insane. So I knew then I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. And it was really quite something because she knew exactly what she wanted, and she was really, really good at talking with actors. Like she was really good at directing actors and knowing what to say to get what she wanted out of the actors and me specifically. And she would just, say these few things, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I got you. I got it. I understand. Yeah, let's do it." And she like when she got what she wanted, it was really fat. It was like a really smooth pace because it was just someone that knows exactly what they're going for.
Yeah.
And to shoot 3 movies in a row, you got to be like that.
Yeah, I was
You,
gonna
know, you
say,
got to know what you want, you got to get it, and you got to move on. And it was amazing, super refreshing because it's like, yeah, we're good. Hey, do this, little tweak here, little that. Awesome, thanks. We're on. We're going. Next thing.
so cool that she had like a binder, like a Bible full of things. I can just like imagine all the different things that were in there. But yeah, I mean, if
It
you
was
had
like a homemade book. It wasn't even like a 3-ring binder. It was a homemade book with. It was like especially designed for Fear Street with everything in it. You're just like, this is incredible.
that's so cool. But I mean, yeah, as an actor, I feel like that definitely helps. It's like, okay, this person obviously, knows what they're doing. They just put this huge ass book in front of me with like everything that they want to cover, like pay tribute to. So that's awesome. Didn't know that was the case. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
and she's so talented, and the way she was like working with the camera ops too was
Yeah.
amazing. Because she would be, she'd be like doing this stuff, and she, making sure like talking with them to
Yeah.
like get her vision, and then she'd like turn around to the actors, be like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. She's like doing all this stuff at once, and you're just like, dude, this woman's amazing.
That's
I
wild.
really think she's gonna go. I mean, she's already there, but she's got a very, very long and great career
Oh yeah.
ahead of her for a long, long time. Yeah.
Yeah, and she again, we won't like go into super spoilers, but I saw that she did do an interview, and someone actually asked her about the ending of part three, and basically saying like, oh, was that put in there just for kind of fun, or do you have like some ideas or an idea? And she was like, she basically said, she's like, yeah, no, we got some ideas. So I don't know if anything's officially like set up as of right now. It might already
I
be,
want to, yeah, I want to be surprised. Lee's got it going on.
but I was
Like
like,
I said, her vision, man. If she's got a vision, I think she's gonna fulfill it.
and
She's
hey,
one of those people.
maybe we'll see Arnie come back, or he'll just come back as like a different character, because we got to see that with like 1666 and 94, same actors but just like different people. So
That would be cool. I'd be blessed. I'm even just to be in the second one. It's unbelievable. So just like looking at him, like how grateful it is. Like how grateful am I? And I feel so blessed and grateful to be a part of that. And the kind of world that it built and the response that it's getting is like blew me out of the water. I was just like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, because I'm a big horror fan, like, as you can tell, like as we're talking. And so I was psyched. Like I said, I grew up watching Goosebumps, so I was like, oh, cool, this is gonna be such like a fun thing to watch, these three films. So I was really excited, but even, seeing the reaction, like, because I think it hit not only with fans of like the books, but I think it just connected with, like horror fans who weren't familiar and just like the overall like audience. In your opinion, like, why do you think Beer Street has connected with fans the way that it has?
I think it's the nostalgia. It's fresh. It's a new story, but it's also very nostalgic. Like the 1994 is like a classic Scream. Shout out to Scream. 78. Shout out to Jason.
Yep.
And then I haven't seen 1666, but you got the classic witch horror. As far as I can tell, like The Conjuring, the devil's come. McKay's giving that whole speech, which is awesome. Yeah, I think it's the nostalgia of it all, because you get this. It's all three period pieces. 90s, 70s, 60s, or colonial era, I guess. And I think also the fact that it's R.L. Stine, and that his old viewers and his new, his old fans and the new fans that he might have gotten recently with the new Goosebumps movies he's putting out, and
Yep.
these Fear Street movies, from how, like, I don't know how old kids are watching this these days, but Netflix is pretty accessible. So let's say, anywhere from 14 years old to 30 and up I feel like can enjoy these films.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like very universal, like just the way that they did this, because it's not like very campy, or it's not TV-14. It's very grounded in what it is, but it also has moments of comedy. It also has just a slasher, gory. It's got it all, man. For me, the soundtracks are amazing. I feel like it kind of has the whole package.
On everything. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I said, I think they hit that balance, which can be very hard to do, because you could sometimes with these kind of projects, you could really, you could do something specifically for those fans, but then you aren't really able to bring in like any like new, fans. Or you can kind of like make something that's just like for, for new fans, and then you kind of alienate that core fan base. So I think, they did a good job. You guys just did a good job overall of, bringing these stories to life and making it, like you said, accessible for everybody, not just like a specific group.
Yeah, I think they did it.
So, and I know we briefly kind of, to wrap things up, I know personally, or for you personally, what's been the reaction like for you, and what have been some of the craziest things that you've seen from like, fans over the past, couple weeks?
Oh man, I just been so grateful. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been kind of blown away with, Arnie had a solid 15 minutes of screen time, 15 to 20, but the impact of, I mean, even the Instagram stuff, about how many people, like 13,000 new fans, like loving Arnie, which is cool, so cool to see. And it was just warmed my heart. And I think, like, I posted where it was like the head split and like the before and after the axe.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that that one has the most likes. I think people really liked the gore and the nitty gritty behind how it worked and how it happened.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's the fact that there's so many people out there super loyal to this story, really is what's blowing my mind. I mean, you look at like all of the casts, they're blowing up like on social media and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think you have this. What's crazy to me is just to see this giant community behind Fear Street itself. And I was like, wow, it's like we did it. We created these stories. We were part of these stories that are might change people's life, or it might inspire someone to be an actor. It might inspire someone to be a storyteller or to get into special effects makeup. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
I think this is what being a storyteller like really feels like, you know, seeing this giant community behind something that was made, and I was grateful to be a part of it, and I got to be a part of it. I think that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, man, and I'm so happy for for you, for for Jordan, for Jackie, who I've had on the show too. Like it's really cool to see you guys kind of blow up the way you did, and I think that's one of the things with like the especially like the horror community. Like you have some really dedicated, passionate people that are fans of like the genre, and I think you guys are obviously seeing that these past couple of weeks just with all these different people like reaching out to you. So I'm so happy that yeah you were able to to land this role just kind of to talk about like your story now. What would you say what is next for Sam Brooks?
Man, I have a movie out right now on Amazon Prime called These Streets We Haunt. It's like a thriller, kind of horror thriller vibe. And that was an indie film shot in Nashville. I love it. I think it's cool. And I got another film coming out called One More Dream, which I play this young kid named Ethan. He's a senior in high school. He drops off the football team, gets into some heroin. He has an abusive dad who's an alcoholic. The main character ends up saving my life, sending me, in certain ways.
Yeah.
And that one was probably my heaviest dramatic role thus far. Another indie film. Still, I love indies, man.
Oh yeah.
The raw and the grit of them. And that one was a lot of fun. And then I'll have another short film out, which is a rom-com. So I feel like rom-coms are they should bring them back, man. I love a good rom-com.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping the auditions keep coming, and I hope that I can continue to tell stories and bring characters to life, and just to keep doing this. I love it so much. I never thought I'd be an actor, but here we are, and I'm just gonna keep doing it until I can't do it anymore, man.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I'm sure, like I said, yeah, I'm sure it must be busy. I'm sure you'll get some, some more auditions coming through too. Make sure you guys, go check out those films that he just mentioned, Amazon Prime. I'm sure the other films are they available pretty much like wherever you can like stream like movies, like Amazon Prime, stuff like that.
These Streets We Hunt is on Amazon Prime. The other two aren't out yet.
Okay.
The One More Dream will be a public release in the theaters in Nashville.
Awesome.
And then it'll most likely, I know Disney Plus was looking at it, which is really cool. But if not there, then it'll most likely come out on Amazon Prime as well.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, so definitely I'm gonna have to check those out myself because I'm a big fan of of indie films, supporting those too because you do get some of more of those raw, gritty stories. So that's that's always exciting to like see that. So hey Sam, man, once again, thank you so much for for coming on the show, taking time out of your schedule. Like I said, I know you're busy, so I really appreciate you coming on and just kind of talking Fear Street and telling us a little bit about your story up to this point.
Pat, thank you, man. I really had a lot of fun today. I appreciated it. Thank you for having me and for taking the time to interview me. That means a lot to me. So I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. You are welcome back anytime on the show. If you got any projects or anything like that, feel free to come back on.
Let me know what you think about These Streets We Hunt. Being a horror buff and a thriller buff that you are, let me know. It's a comedic role that I play, like the comedic relief. But I want to know what you think about the story.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in to hear your thoughts.
Okay.
Cool. Well, shout out to Pop Culture with Pat. Everybody, thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. Pat, again, thank you for having me. I meant a lot. Hi, I'm Sam Brooks. You're watching Pop Culture with Pat. I play Arnie on Fear Street. And remember, kids, don't you dare do drugs, baby, drugs. Take it easy.